Welcome to the Retail Tech Podcast. Today I'm speaking with Ed Kennedy from a company called Episerver. He's a content, commerce, and content strategist and has a long background in the agency work. How are you today, Ed?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. What is Episerver and what are the products that you help retailers with?
Episerver is a digital experience platform that powers over 30,000 websites around the world. And we've had a long history in producing web content management software. And in the last 8 years, we've combined that with an enterprise grade e-commerce platform and unified the two together. So we now run many large scale retail and brand manufacturer websites all around the world.
Okay, and when did the company start? What's the background of the core applications?
We have a long history in the European markets, particularly Stockholm, Sweden. Sweden's our home country and our roots in building global web content management systems. And in the Swedish market, we have almost 40% market share of all the websites that run in that country and throughout the Nordic region. We're quite well entrenched there and working with partners and customers to launch digital experiences and now many large-scale commerce experiences. And 6 years ago, we entered the North American market and started to assemble what we think are the key technologies that any retailer or brand or distributor is going to need to launch large-scale commerce and digital experience sites.
So, were all the products that the company actually is selling right now, were they all built internally or were there any of them from acquisitions?
It's been a mix. So the first product that came to market was the web content management system that's now recognized by Gartner Research and Forrester Research as a leading web content management system. And then over time, we've strategically acquired different software products to assemble what we think is a unified commerce solution. So many years ago, 8 or 9 years ago now, we acquired an e-commerce platform and integrated that into the Episerver CMS. And in recent history, we've acquired strategic software platforms that sit around digital experience. So we acquired a personalization engine that provides machine learning algorithms for product recommendations and content recommendations. We acquired an email marketing platform to allow our digital marketers to launch integrated email campaigns from within our Episerver platform. So we've assembled a strategic set of products to power many different types of digital experiences and commerce experiences.
Okay. So, do you also do the actual design? I know you have, you mentioned you have a agency background. Is that a part of the services that you also provide?
Yeah, good question. So personally, I've spent a lot of time on implementations of Episerver, but that was working for agencies because we have a traditional partner model. So we have a formal program for partners to work with the Episerver platform, developer certifications, cloud certifications, and we go to market with roughly 800 solution partners around the world that implement our software on behalf of customers.
Okay, so the design and implementation is done with the partnership with other companies, agencies, and okay.
Exactly. We found that's the best marriage. We want to be focused on making the product better. And now, as more software vendors become cloud companies, we have two fronts to really work on. We have to make the product better and improve the product, but we also have to build the cloud infrastructure and work with, in our case, Microsoft Azure to continue to provide a very high quality service. So we've got plenty of work to do there, and our partners specialize in particular verticals or customer scenarios to take our software and do something great with it.
Right. You mentioned Microsoft and Azure. The Episerver is a .NET technology, correct?
Correct.
And what is that relationship? adding to the value for, from a point of view of a retailer or a commerce company that's looking at buying, or changing, upgrading their systems?
Yeah, it's a good question because our relationship with Microsoft goes quite wide and deep. So on the Azure side of the relationship, we're one of the highest consumers of Azure with all of the websites that we run. So we have a very deep relationship on the technical side, particularly with how we've integrated the Episerver platform into Azure web apps and built in and leverage all the tools that Azure provides for dynamic auto scaling and a variety of different deployment models that customers want. So our customers really appreciate and get value from the ability just to subscribe to a very simple commerce service that we run on their behalf. And we could not, as a company our size, laid that infrastructure without Microsoft. So that's a key
Right.
part of our relationship and our value proposition to retailers is you can pay a monthly fee to run a large-scale commerce site running on Azure with all of the tools and capabilities plus our service. And
Okay.
then as a software company, we've assembled the right types of connectors and add-ons to all of the Microsoft business applications. So whether it's Microsoft Dynamics 365 for operations and financials, or having connectors to SharePoint, having connectors to the CRM products. So all the business applications we have hooks into. So if a customer already has made investments there, they're going to market a lot faster because they're not having to rebuild that in our platform. They're leveraging all the business logic they've set up, such as pricing, products, promotions, all of that's been set up in their back office systems. Our connectors just take that and use that as the logic for the front end web experience as well.
So you can manage all of these different Microsoft capabilities through the Episerver CMS or the Commerce dashboard?
In a way, it's the other way around. If you have Microsoft Dynamics 365 for operations, if you're running the AX platform or the Nav platform, you can launch the web channels from within your ERP and configure pricing and products and offers from within the ERP, and then marketers and merchandisers can log into the Episerver platform and enhance it further from there. So most of our customers live within the Episerver platform, but there's a very tight integration where we're allowing customers to configure and set up everything in their ERP and then run their website, run their experiences from the Episerver platform. And we're highly rated as one of the easiest to use platforms out there in terms of business interfaces that customers use to manage the experience.
Okay. Now, customer segments. I saw you have like a few airports as customers. Is the segmentation, so what percentage of your customers are actual retailers and e-commerce companies?
Roughly half of our customers are using Episerver's transactional e-commerce engine. And I say that in that way because we have one of our fastest growing verticals and markets are B2B manufacturers and wholesale distributors. And some of them have scenarios where they're not transacting yet. They're not taking payment on the website for whatever reason. Their operations aren't ready for it. Their financials aren't ready for it. So they're using our transaction e-commerce engine just to power a catalog experience. And then they're sending orders off to sales reps or channel partners. We have a traditional retail business, many pure play online retailers that transact anywhere between 50 million and 200 million in online sales. We have traditional brick and mortar retailers. So that makes up roughly 20% of our install base as well, is traditional retailers.
Let's say, for example, a an omnichannel retailer wants to use Episerver and Microsoft. What would be a stack, for example, that you would put together for them?
Depending on whether they're using Microsoft technologies already or not, will obviously affect what we recommend. If they're coming with Microsoft business applications like ERP and CRM, then it's very plug and play to get Episerver up and running. And there's a lot of uptake with those types of customers because we're integrated and aligned on the technology. If the customer does not use Microsoft technologies, we work with Microsoft partners because many of them are evaluating a new ERP or a new CRM, but we've integrated Episerver with all of the major ERPs and CRMs, and we're very flexible and open in that way. So many retailers come to us and they have SAP in hand, they have Oracle, they have NetSuite, they have other ERP systems Infor that we've got to integrate with. So in that case, typically we're doing an integration between Episerver and whatever their incumbent ERP is to work out business logic for buy online, pick up in store, ship from store, endless aisle, web store, in-store visibility of inventory, and defining all that logic within the Episerver platform.
What is the smallest customer that you have?
We work with some on the web content management side. We work with some associations and nonprofits that have what I would call enhanced brochureware on, and those customers are fairly small and stable in terms of their digital experience aspirations. They want to use our personalization capabilities to provide a personalized experience, but they're not ever going to be transactional e-commerce, except for maybe taking donations. On the commerce side, some of the smaller customers that we've worked with are typically pure play, online only retailers. These might be companies that, while large in terms of their online revenue, that is all their revenue. So they might do 50 million, 75 million in online revenue, but they're not transacting. They don't have a large business that they're running. We have other customers that use a little bit of our software, but they're massive organizations, and they're slowly rolling out Episerver enterprise-wide. So we cover quite a big
Okay, but
range there.
it's not basically something that is for the like a small business, for example, somebody with one store, for example.
No, I would typically we're replacing either custom-built e-commerce platforms, or we're replacing that first generation e-commerce platform that a company put in place. So they might have gone with an SMB or point solution. They might have gone with a Shopify or a big commerce, Yahoo stores. They might be on Magento or other platforms like that, and they're sort of graduating to the next stage of e-commerce platforms.
So that's actually an interesting topic for me, is that specific point about graduating to the next stage. I want to quantify that a little bit more. What exactly does that graduation mean? I mean, as far as like what specific needs or challenges would take somebody from, going from what they have into the next level, which is, for example, Episerver?
I think a lot of customers that I've seen over the years, it starts with just the growth of the business is driving that need to evolve. And what I specifically mean is they put their first e-commerce platform in place just to get going, just to start transacting. So their expectations and their standards were set at that level. Let's get products on the website. Let's start transacting. Let's start selling. Let's see what we get. Very broad brushstroke for e-commerce. So they may not have evaluated as deeply how flexible the technology framework is. How easy is it to customize? How scalable is the platform? If it could launch quickly and for less money, they're up and running. And what usually happens is, assuming they're successful, you end up running out of track, basically, with that platform. You can't move left or right. You're on a single track. It was meant for B2C. And now say you want to go diversify into B2B e-commerce, or you want to start launching more traditional digital marketing or CMS experiences that may not be transactional, but you're using experience-driven commerce to engage consumers before they're going to buy. So your platform needs to cover more ground,
Like
and
personalization, for example.
exactly, because most
Okay.
companies that use SMB point solutions, or even sort of middle market, lower middle market platforms like Magento and others, they they're meant for broad brushstrokes of e-commerce, whereas and the customer is not ready necessarily to personalize. If you start using Episerver, you can personalize the experience based off of any data point. It could be implicit data, like where they came from, what email, what URL they came from, what pages they visited, all the way to explicit orders and what's in their cart and everything in between. So you can create hundreds of segments inside of Episerver, and then you layer on machine learning algorithms into that to personalize the experience at an individual level based off of what each individual person has done. That's a lot for a small business to swallow and take on.
Right.
Similar with web content management, they just may not have the resources and strategy to really take on those sorts of things. So that's where we see the graduation. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you basically need teams to manage these different capabilities. So effectively.
you at least need maturity in your segmentation. I think most of the customers that use our platform, they have maybe they have a team less than 10. So it's not large teams. In fact, most e-commerce teams that I work with, it's less than 5. And there's a lot of demands being put on those 5 people to grow the business, and their headcount's not getting any higher. They've gotten an analytics specialist, they've got an email specialist, they've got a merchandiser, they've got a marketing person, and they've got a director of e-commerce, and that's it. So the tool needs to actually work for them, and that's why we acquired all these machine learning algorithm products, because that scales. You don't have to be configuring every single rule in the e-commerce platform to personalize the experience. But the point I was making is more the maturity of the customer to think about segments. Some customers just think about new visitors versus returning visitors, and that's it. And they personalize the experience off of that. With Episerver, you can go much deeper. And if you're ready to go deeper on your personalization and you've done persona mapping, you can really drive a lot of engagement and sales.
Right. So if you look at a typical team, just like you mentioned, 5 people, and you have a powerful tool in front of you, and supposedly over years you have hundreds of thousands of existing past customers. um, the balance is, what is the ROI point to actually, because you need people to run these segmentations, right, to test and monitor things and improve things on a constant basis. What's the balance point between where you bring in an additional person that's adds to that kind of an experimentation and those campaigns, and what the ROI is for you in the additional expense that having a new person would bring in?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we're dealing with this right now as we layer our machine learning algorithms more and across our platform more broadly. And frankly, there is a segmentation ceiling. It doesn't matter how many additional people you add to the team, you can't possibly segment down to the individual using rules and a human mind. You have to leverage big data analysis to detect patterns that will allow you to personalize the experience. That's where we're going with our platform. And the traditional, very powerful rule-based personalization that's within our platform is mainly, I see customers create anywhere from 5 to 50 broad segments or clusters in the platform. It doesn't usually go much larger than that because the human mind just can't think of that many and manage that many segmentations of their site visitors. So that's usually the range I see customers having segments personalized on the site using rules. But then you add machine learning to that and it scales, and you can then personalize exactly the search results, for example, on the site for that individual user. So if that user went to the men's category, whenever they search for jacket, we're showing men's jackets intelligently without no one had to configure a rule to that. It's just what the machine learning algorithms do.
Right.
So that's where we're able to scale segments down to the individual.
How evolved are the systems right now? I mean, Episerver and everybody pretty much that I talk to has some wording about artificial intelligence and machine learning in their products. How evolved is this whole conversation at Episerver?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for keeping us honest as vendors, because I mean, we will attach just machine learning algorithms to anything and call
It
it and
sounds
spin it
great.
that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it
does.
sounds
I mean, it does sound great. I mean, artificial intelligence, wow, what the future is here. We're much more prescriptive with personalization. We see machine learning algorithms helping in two major ways in our platform. One is personalizing the experience and enhancing the experience that site visitors have. So artificial intelligence and machine learning in the category of our platforms. There's people doing it in many different ways. We're focusing on how does it help personalize the experience. So we've gone quite deep on that already with our Episerver Perform product. We've already got 100 customers using that product to display personalized product recommendations, and we're extending those capabilities to provide personalized content recommendations and personalized search results on site search using the same data store of that individual customer profile that we build as you're shopping on the site. So that's the main, we've already got the plumbing for that. We've got the big data store, we've got the set of machine learning algorithms, and it's now we're at the business logic layer where we're continuing to refine algorithms and embed it into the platform and into the pages. So that's one arc of work that we're quite far along with, and we're just now applying it to different types and scenarios. And then the
okay.
other is natural language processing. So a lot of our customers import the entire product catalog, they import the entire um, content repository, they've got pages, they've got articles, they've got blogs, they've got images. And when you import that into Episerver, we use natural language processing to auto detect what's in the article, what patterns can we see in the product catalog, and what this image is, and automatically tagging it to be used throughout the platform.
Okay, so you're
Those
talking about text recognition, not voice.
not voice. We have
Right.
worked with and we've played with Cortana natural language processing for chatbots, and we did do a proof of concept with Amazon Echoes and showed that you could do voice activated commerce using our API. So you can even take other machine learning applications and integrate them into Episerver. Our product team is really investing in the experience personalization and natural language processing for text and images in our platform, and then we use third parties for different customer scenarios.
Okay. So in one of the last questions I usually ask my guests are, where do you see the future of retail going, and how, so let's start with that. I mean, things are changing. Of course, we all know that. And the pace of change seems to be increasing as well. What do you think is going to be the next like two or three major shifts in the next 5 years?
It's a good. Thank you for putting the time horizon on that, because I just don't know. I can't. I don't even know if I can predict what happens in 5 years. I'm trying to think just 1 year ahead because things are moving so fast. We're seeing retailers needing to become more like brands. That's really where we see our retail customers needing to adapt and change in response to Amazon, Walmart, and others. You can't compete on price. You can't compete on product assortment. You can only compete on experience, and creating engaging, personalized experiences that connect and have authentic connections to consumers. And the technology needs to get there first. The technology needs to be there first so that as retailers wake up to that and move towards that, the technology is ready to support that.
What do you mean by technology? Whose technology needs to be ready? Vendors or the retailer's own technology?
In a way, both, but I'm referring specifically to platforms like Episerver. We've got to have the highly scalable machine learning personalized tool sets within a platform, And these platforms need to be easy to use so that retailers can go in and author commerce experiences and use content marketing more in their retail experiences versus just pushing price and pushing other content out that's not really going to differentiate where the consumer will just go to Amazon Prime. We've got to create more engaging experiences, and that's using personalization and content marketing. And I think that's where retailers will start to look more like a brand and do lifestyle storytelling. And the technology needs to not get in their way. They need to be able to scale that. They need to be able to do that easily and quickly using e-commerce platforms. And that's where we're spending a significant amount of time and money, is investing in those tools.
Thank you so much, Ed. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Dario.